Hello, howdy. Greetings. Guten Tag. Aloha. You have found the Marry Your Best Friend podcast. And I'm John. I am seated next to my beautiful wife, sweet wife, loving wife, tolerant wife, Suzanne. And well, one of us is a cat person.
I think that's a stretch.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say a cat person.
Well, just in case you're tuning in and you're going, oh, this is a great show about cats. It's not.
It's really not anything
this show
about
is
cats.
Really about. It's not about cats, but I am married to a cat person.
I'm not a cat person.
Okay, how many cats do we have right now in our house?
But that doesn't make me a cat person.
How
that
many
makes
cats
me
do we have in our house right now?
6.
Okay, 6. Oh, plus 2 outside. That's 8.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm married to a cat person.
But I'm not a cat person. We only have them because she had babies and she's not getting fixed till next week, so she can't go outside. And the babies can't go outside till she goes outside. So
anyway,
we're kinda stuck with them.
In case you are a cat person and you're all excited that finally there's a podcast about cats.
I am not that person.
We're not really talking about cats. What we're talking about is the fact that we've been married next month, 35 years.
I know we took a little hiatus because it was the month of May.
Well, hold on. We'll get back to the month of May. But our last show was a month ago, April 25th. And we talked about sometimes one of us loves to argue. And we determined that was you.
No,
and,
I don't think that was.
Well, we can argue about that later. But watch the episode. You were the arguer. But
instigate it.
Instigate. On this episode, we are going to talk about how a person changes over the long term of a marriage. Because when you marry somebody, you are not married to that same person for very long because everybody changes.
Especially when you get married as young as we did. We were babes.
We were babies, yeah, because we're 39.
Babes in the woods.
I'm 39, you're 49 now. And
oh my God.
Whatever. People don't really do math, remember? So we're going to talk about how people change over marriage, how you should expect it. And I'm not married to the same woman that I married. You know?
Not completely, no. You're not.
But anyway, so we're going to get into that subject in just a minute. But the reason why we've been off for the past month, we have, if you don't live in Indiana, you don't understand that we have 90 days in May, especially when you work in the racing business, because we're at the track. We had 3 consecutive weekends of races. We had the Indy GP. Well, first off, the first weekend in May,
like they start running commercials for, is it May yet?
Yeah, is it May
in
yet?
February. And then, we lead it all up to the big month.
End of August or end of April, we had a race in Alabama. And then we had a weekend off. And that weekend off, you and I went to a comedy festival out in Los Angeles.
Which everybody saw you give.
Yes, so that was your Christmas gift. And we went out to the...
Gosh, we haven't done a podcast.
We did a Netflix is Not a Joke comedy festival. And boy, Suzanne and I had a great time.
It was awesome.
We got to see Nate Bargatze.
Jerry
Seinfeld. You got to see Stephen Maniscalco. You got to see
Sebastian.
Jim Gaffigan.
Tom Papa.
Tom Papa, which you love, Tom Papa.
Love Tom Papa.
Leanne Morgan,
amazing.
who I love Leanne Morgan.
She was unbelievable.
Yeah, she was unbelievable. And then we even heard some new comedians that we hadn't heard before. Yeah. Oh, and John Mulaney. We saw John Mulaney. And you absolutely love stand-up comedy. We've talked about that before, but it was a great trip. We went to Universal Studios.
We acted like kids. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I needed it. You needed it. We definitely needed it before.
Friends that we love. I mean, we got to go.
The month got.
It was great because we got to go with 2 other married couples. And since this podcast is somewhat about being married to your best friend, we saw a young couple when we first got there, Maggie and Tyler. And
we didn't go with them. They live there.
I get that. But what I'm saying is part of our trip was seeing a couple of other couples, which was great because we saw Maggie and Tyler, and they're like still in that newlywed loving kind of...
they've been married a while.
They've been married like 5 years, maybe?
No, longer than that.
I don't know about longer than that, but
yeah,
they've been
longer than that.
They're still kids to me, but they're now in that phase because, like, we waited 7 years to have kids, and then they're in that fun phase when he has to perform and try to get in there. But
they're
that's a fun
awful
phase.
cute.
They are cute, and they're in love, and they moved to California, and they're fashionable.
They're adorable and young and hip.
I felt cool walking.
They live in a neat area.
Yeah, Manhattan Beach. I kind of felt cool. You and me walking around Manhattan Beach like we were locals.
I don't think I looked like a local, but
Don't hassle me. I'm local.
Don't hassle me. I'm like,
Bob.
what?
But and then the other couple we got was Trisha and Barry.
And they're super local.
Well, what's really cool about them though is Barry was single for a lot of years, and
He didn't get married until what? He was in his Was he in his 40s when they got married?
But the cool thing, we got to see two totally different marriages. You have the young couple that got married, kind of like us, really young. Everybody's like, how are they going to feed themselves? How are they going to pay rent? And they're doing it. You know, they're doing really great. He's a video maker and all that kind of stuff. Well, Barry, his whole career was in set dressing. He just recently retired after 33 years of being in the film industry, doing set design, set dressing. And he worked on 90210, and he worked on Criminal Minds and all these different movies and stuff. And just an awesome
He's just
dude.
super fun.
But
and she's just as fun.
Well, and they're best friends. And that's what's really fun. I mean, he loves surfing and he loves his, taking his motorcycle across country and stuff like that. And she's just very supportive and fun. And it was neat to be with them. They went to a comedy show with us. And it was just awesome to have dinner with them. But anyway, the 90 days of May. So then we go into 3 weekends. We got back from that wonderful vacation. Then we had 3 weekends in a row.
It hits hard. I mean, it's boom, boom,
Grand Prix
boom.
weekend and then qualifying weekend and the whole week of qualifying leading up, or the whole week of practice leading up to qualifying, and then the Indy 500.
And it was so exciting.
It was so exciting this
it
year.
was not like something that yes, it's our bread and butter, but it's not something that we wouldn't do anyway.
Well,
like we love it so much as a family that it's
and this is the great thing to talk
so
about.
important.
When we got married, your father always made fun of you because you could care less about sports.
Yeah, I'm not sporty at all.
I mean,
I don't really
you liked the
sports.
Texas Rangers when you were a kid because you knew Toby.
Yeah, because we went to all the baseball games because,
But you never really cared about You grew up in Texas, and you were the only person I know from Texas that doesn't like football.
I know. I'm an embarrassment to my family.
So the very first time I took you to the Indy 500, we were living in Nashville, Tennessee.
1990.
We moved here in 8th grade. My first Indy 500 is 40. I've been to 43 races according to my count. My first race was in 1978. The Corvette Stingray. I'm still going to get one of those someday because it's the greatest pace car. But we lived in Georgia. My father and I came up with Ralph Prescott and his son. We drove up from Atlanta and had the most amazing father-son time going to the Indy 500. And I was a big A.J. Foyt fan. And then that summer after...
I wish I could have experienced it when I was young like you.
It was glorious. But what I was going to say is somebody gave me a Goodyear hat at the hotel, and it was the Adams
Those big
Mark
trucker
Hotel.
hats, man.
But man, I had the Goodyear hat, and it was from a real crew member, and I wore that thing forever. But we went back to Georgia, and later that summer, my dad was invited to move to Indiana. He got transferred with what's now One America, AUL. But we moved to Indiana, and going to the Indy 500 is a
I
big
guess
part
I
of that.
didn't realize that
Yeah.
you had fallen in love with it before you.
I fell in love with racing
all
when I was in
moved
Georgia,
here.
and I was amazed because from Atlanta to Indianapolis was about 500 miles. And so the 9 hours it took us to drive from Indianapolis to Atlanta, or from Atlanta to Indianapolis, I was thinking, wow, those guys just drove this in like 2 hours. And I was amazed that they drove the same distance in a portion of the time. But I love the racing. And then once we moved up here, Dad, we always cheered for the Texas guys. We cheered for Johnny Rutherford, and we cheered for A.J. Foyt, and we cheered for, there was a little team called Circle Bar Racing out of Ozona, Texas. Ozona, Texas,
Wow.
on Highway 10. But what was funny was Texans have such a deep... You had Jim McElreath, and you had all these guys that came from Texas to run the Indy 500. And we cheered for them. We loved them going through there. And I may have shared this before, but there was a key part in my father-son relationship. We may not have agreed on a lot of things because when I became an Andretti fan in the 70s, my dad kind of disowned me. He couldn't believe that he had raised an Andretti fan. But Mario Andretti in like 1977, he won the race in 69.
That was just iconic, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you had to
in the 70s when I was a kid,
pay homage
he
to
drove an
Mario.
F1 in the John Player Special, and that car was iconic, and I loved him, and I became a Mario Andretti fan. Well, Dad didn't really like that, so we didn't really talk too much about racing. But the one thing we agreed on, do you know what that was? A girl named Linda Vaughn.
Oh.
Miss Hurst Shifter.
Yep.
If you think Dolly Parton is
I
blessed-
remember you telling me all about this, and then I looked back and I read things about her.
Well, let me tell you about
Yeah.
Linda Vaughn. She still remembers me to this day. But she
course she
never
does.
forgets anybody that she met in the paddock. And she's like this, just a saint of motor racing in Indy. But in the 70s, she was the Miss Hurst Shifter. girl.
Wow.
I had a poster of her. Of
course you did.
If you think that Dolly Parton is blessed by God in certain areas, Linda has her beat. And Linda would take a little 14-year-old boy like me and say, "Come here, sweetheart, let's get a picture." And I would be like right at the right height. and it was like feeding time. But anyway,
Oh, you're gross.
what, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
So
but
anyway,
ew.
so Linda Vaughn was something that my dad and I both bonded over, was the fact that Linda Vaughn. But I took you to your first Indy 500. We got married. One of the years that I missed, I remember missing two specific years. One year was 1986 when Bobby Rahal won, and I was in the Philippines on a mission trip, and it rained out, and I had to. This was like before internet and all that stuff, but 1986, I was on a mission trip in the Philippines. Well, I knew when the race was, and I was serving in a church, and I was like, I need to wake up early.
1986, you missed it in 1985 too.
Well, hold on, let me tell this whole story. So.
Because you were with me.
I know, but in 1986, I was on that mission trip, and I made special plans to go listen to it on shortwave radio while I was in the Philippines, and the race rained out. And so I had to come up with another lie the next day to try to catch it. Well, the race rained out multiple days. And so John,
How many
for a whole
times
week,
has that happened?
Not many. This time, the rain delay was like the 13th time in the 108th running.
Wow.
But it wasn't a full rain delay.
But multiple
we were just delayed by
days.
4. Yeah, so if back in the day, if they didn't race on Sunday, they would race on
Monday.
If
I know
if
that.
it rained on Monday, they'd race on Tuesday. After Tuesday, they would push it to the next weekend. And then
Okay.
Milwaukee or whatever race was scheduled the next weekend would have to reschedule their race.
So would the whole season have to shift a
one
weekend?
race? But yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, what I was going to tell you though is so. That year, Bobby Rahal won, and I was so excited that he finally won. It'd be like if Ed Carpenter finally won, or somebody like Rahal was a great racer, and you really wanted him to win. So it was kind of neat to see that. But I lied to everybody for like a week on my mission trip, and I'm like, I have to go.
I don't
back.
think the Lord would bless you
my belly's
for
hurting.
that.
I need to go back to the hotel or back to the
Shortwave
apartment.
radio.
Yeah. So anyway, but the other year that I remember missing, I was with you.
1985.
I don't know if it was 85 or 86.
It was 85 because
Okay.
it was the year I graduated from high school. This I know for a fact because the Sunday was the Sunday that they presented all the seniors.
Yes. And your
at
father,
school.
but
I
your
mean,
father,
at
God
church
rest
with
his
like
soul,
a
and I know he's with
Bible
Jesus
or
right now,
something.
and maybe Jesus can correct him on this. But your father thought that because I missed church for a sporting event. Now, God, I mean, everybody knows.
Yeah, but he ran home to watch the Cowboys.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
but that's what I'm saying. Churches get out in time for the Cowboys,
Yeah,
but
they
because
do.
John Stewart skipped church to watch a race,
Yeah, that
he
was-
thought I was going to hell and I wasn't the
that
right guy
was-
to be around you.
he also grew as a person, I think, as time moved on.
Oh, you think so?
Yes, I do. I don't think he would look down on it like he did back
Okay,
in 1985.
so we had 3 weekends in a row of racing. Our team, if you don't know us here locally, we're involved with a really cool little race team called Ed Carpenter Racing, and I help with their sponsors. And so I had my client and all of his guests in.
But I don't
and-
mean that we just go. I mean, like our family eats, sleeps, and breathes
Yeah, so there's
IndyCar.
2 sides here. One is about a third of my life is in motorsports and sports marketing and things of that nature. So it's a work time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God for Tim Bouchard, who I work with. Tim is Mr. Details. Tim is pulling
He
out all
lets you breathe a little
Tim
bit.
had a full head of hair when he came to work for me. Now
He's
he doesn't.
bald.
But Tim
Poor
busted
guy.
his butt, made all the clients happy, put on a great weekend. I get all the glory, all the credit. Tim did all the work.
and we get all the perks
Yeah,
as the
so
family.
I get a good parking place. I get good. No,
as Natalie says, it's a good weekend to be a steward.
it is fun. But for the record, my client buys all his company tickets or all his guest tickets. We buy our tickets. You had great seats this year, right at the
did.
start finish line. You loved them.
We're going to renew those next year.
We already renewed them. So anyway, you're excited about that. Tim took care of the clients, but then we have a personal relationship with a lot of the different drivers and the team owners and things of that nature because I used to work in IndyCar racing full time. But we love this little team. So we're competing against the big teams like the Penske's and the Andretti's and the McLarens. And these guys are spending so much more money. And
And Ed
Carpenter
does like to take a young driver and
he's
just
great at it.
sort of
So the guy
help
who won,
get him
the guy who won
going.
this year and last year and has won the championship before, Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden Ed signed him. So Ed signed him. His first team was with Ed Carpenter Racing, but then
That's crazy. How old was he?
he was
He was
early
22,
20s.
right?
Yeah, but Ed signed him. Ed has developed great talent, but then Penske
'Cause
came
Renus is
in with a lot of
23.
money and hired him away. And when Mr. Penske calls, you don't say no, and Ed understood that. But it set the team back about 3 years when a driver you put that much time in. So yeah, this is Renus' 5th year. We've got a rookie, Christian Rasmussen, and
Who, by the way,
he was the highest ranking finisher.
gosh, he was amazing.
Yeah, he did an amazing job for his first time.
Moved up 12 spots, right?
Yeah, moved up 12 spots. He did great in the race. He had a rocket of a race car, but
Smart
even
driver.
though he was the highest ranking rookie, they gave the Rookie of the Year award to
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson, who's a NASCAR star, and man, they had his name etched on that Rookie of the Year trophy about a year ago.
when he acknowledged the fact he might come to IndyCar.
And he sold a lot of tickets, and he got a lot of press attention. But he got his ass kicked on the tree. Now people go, "Oh well, he led a lap, or he did this."
He was really fast, and he was really fast in qualifying.
They're spending 3 times the amount on that car, and the engineers. They have 3 times the amount of engineers than Ed Carpenter Racing. But still, he finished. He lost. He started 5th. Great qualifying, all that kind of stuff. Good team, but he lost 13 spots in the race. Our guy gained 12 spots.
Yeah,
but our guy didn't get the $50,000 bonus, and so I'm a little upset about that. But we're gonna let it go.
If you can't tell,
and the other thing,
it's a little bitter.
Lady, the show is about cats, and we're talking about racing.
Okay.
But I will say
that's one of the things that's changed.
The moment that the Indy 500 is over, those of us, and when you build up for Christmas for like 4 or 5 weeks of Advent, you're ready for Christmas, and then everybody opens the presents, and
it is our Christmas.
But then you just kind of relax and go, "Oh wow, it's over." Well, imagine having a feeling as soon as Christmas is over of going, "Oh wow, the kids just opened all the presents. I can't wait to next year, and I want to give them this next year." Like literally, as soon as the race is over with, everybody who didn't win that race starts thinking about how could we do this differently to win next year? Because I am going to stay in the sport as long as Ed Carpenter is still driving and trying to win the race, because he would be an amazing, amazing Indy 500. It was his 21st Indy 500. He's an amazing guy. Renus VK, who's on our team, he could win the race easily.
He's just rocket fast.
Christian's awesome. Who knows? I mean, Renus is at the end of a contract here, so he might go someplace else. Christian, who knows? But I know that Ed's going to keep going at it, and I will do everything in my power, sponsor-wise, to help make that happen. But I could cheer for the small teams. AJ Foyt, like if Santino Ferrucci would have won, I would have been doing cartwheels. If Connor Daly would have won with Dennis Reinbold or Ryan Hunter-Ray.
Yeah, I've felt bad for Ryan Hunter-Ray.
Dale Coyne, he has a small team. I
it.
love the small teams because they're competing against the Goliath. It's David versus Goliath, and nobody really wants. I mean, Mr. Penske owns a series. Mr. Penske owns the track, but I really don't want Joseph Newgarden to win. Now, if Scotty McLaughlin won, it'd be okay.
Scotty Mac's fast,
and Will Power too.
But Newgarden he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He just works for Penske.
Just wanted that. Oh, what's the Brazilian's name?
That one Brazilian that
drove for Myers Shank. He's part owner of that team now.
Castroneves.
Yeah, that's his name. Old guy. He's like 60.
He's 49.
Whatever. I don't think he's really
49, and he has aged like a fine wine.
All I know is Suzanne likes looking at his driving suit as he walks by.
I'm telling you, I have been an Leo fan from the get-go.
Okay, so let's talk about changes here, because one example is you are a race fan. When we got married, you didn't know anything about racing. The first time we were at a race, we sat behind Paul Newman's pit. And you watched Paul Newman through the entire race. Well,
you were explaining to me. I mean, I now know why they put on sticker red tires. I know this, but back then I knew nothing.
Newman Haas Racing was a race team. We sat directly behind them in the pits, and you watched Paul Newman like a hawk that day.
And who wouldn't?
He was like 60 feet away from you.
It's the whole Paul Newman.
And then you said, he keeps talking to that short guy with the curly hair. And I said, that's Mario Andretti. And you didn't know who Mario Andretti was. But
no,
I educated you.
1990.
Michael Andretti drove for the team. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a big difference from 1990 and me asking about all that stuff and not knowing anything. And today I had to go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And as I'm in a compromising position at my gynecologist, she's asking me stuff, and I am having a full-on race conversation with my doctor today. And
I was impressed because we're at the Victory Banquet on Monday night, and the person sitting next to us didn't know that much about racing, and here you are just talking about everything, and you're telling them everything about the drivers, and I'm like, wow, you really are a race fan. Like you know all this.
I love it. I really love it.
For our geeky kids who love computer technology and love mechanical things, racing is a great sport to follow.
And like John Andrew will call me, if something happens, because he gets little alerts like if something happens in a team, I mean, all year long or at the beginning
Who's
of the
driving
season.
for this team or who got dropped?
Yeah, and he'll call or text me and we'll have conversations about it. It's given me something to connect because our kids were not sporty kids and I was not sporty.
But I always think it's great for
But it's given our family something special.
I read this somewhere. Give your kids a team to cheer for. Whether it's a football team, basketball team, baseball team, whatever it is, give them something to cheer for. We love cheering for racing. Now, when Elio won, we cried. We were so happy.
Oh my gosh, when he climbed that fence
it was
for
so
the
great.
fourth time.
And then our kids, I mean, whoever won that race, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway picks the winner, and whoever wins a race, it was kind of destiny. So it's kind of exciting to see. And that finished this
when
year.
Rossi finished as a rookie and he, just coasted in.
Okay, but we've talked for 20 minutes about racing, and the show's about cats. But I will tell you, if you have not watched the race, go to Peacock, watch the race, because
it was a great show this year.
25 laps of that race were probably some of the most thrilling motorsports that you can watch. I mean, you had Rossi, you had Newgarden, you had Pato O'Ward from Mexico, and that guy's amazing.
Who dropped the F-bomb on live TV.
And then you had Scott Dixon, who I thought Dixon was going to win. Our drivers, Ed had a good car. Kyle Kirkwood punted Callum Eilert into Ed's spot right when he was coming
into
the pit.
There were a ton of accidents in the beginning of the race.
He lost 20 spots, and then Renus got a penalty into the pits, and so he lost positions, but he earned them back. It was just, at the end, though, if Renus didn't have that penalty, I think he would have been top 5 because he and Pato O'Ward and Scott Dixon were all in the same pit strategy, and he would have been up there. Ed really got punted back when that whole pit thing happened, and he just didn't have the car. Sometimes the cars get better as you go through the race, and his car never came in that way. But man, what a great finish! And when Newgarden, he was about to pass on one lap to go, and
we were going crazy though.
Pato O'Ward, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, is O'Ward going to win? Is O'Ward going to win? Is Newgarden going to win?"
And his fan base, Pato O'Ward's fan base,
half the people
they are crazy.
Yeah, and then you got Zach Brown, he's a famous team owner in McLaren, so he's there. Everybody's there. And
saw David Letterman a couple times. Yeah. He stayed in our hotel. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. Suzanne and I get to stay in a hotel for these 3 weekends, so it's kind of nice too. But I was going to say that on the third turn, coming into the end of the race, Newgarden makes a pass, and you just have to watch it. It's like Secretariat running away from the people, and it's just
no matter who it was amazing. You had to show admiration.
Okay, so 22 minutes in, we're done talking about racing. This is not a sports podcast. This is a podcast about marrying your best friend.
But I do love it.
You do, and it's given us something to do. We love it. We do love it together. And I would invite any of my friends, if you ever want to come to a race, let me know. I will tell you how to buy tickets.
Because the 500 is at the beginning of the season, so
we're not.
It's
races,
not. But I mean, it's not like it's the Super Bowl. It's
this
not the
weekend
last
we're going
game.
to Detroit,
yeah,
and then the next weekend we're in Wisconsin. Then we go to Monterey.
We got a whole rest of the season to finish.
We go to Monterey. We go to Nashville. We go to Iowa. We go to Ohio, Toronto.
In fact, Julianne is having her 21st birthday. We talked her into. We talked her into going to the race for her birthday.
Yeah, don't tell her that it's because of us. But no, the reality is Julianne is turning 21. And all of her friends are younger than her.
Yeah,
so she can't have her own party, so she's stuck with mom and dad. And in my opinion, there's not a better place to turn 21 than a state that smells like beer and cheese and
she's
brats.
Not, I mean, we're not like drinkers. She's not going to do all that kind of stuff. But I mean,
I've got a race weekend, and she's going to go, and
it's going to be a good time.
Okay, so let's talk about changes. So. I will say from the very beginning of this, one of the greatest joys of my life, if I were to die tomorrow, I hope in my obituary, Scott, when he writes it, will say...
I'm definitely letting Scott write it.
Oh, yeah. He's already written my obituary, if you didn't know that, because he thought that I was going to die when we did the road trip. But I hope that one of the greatest things in my life that I've enjoyed has been watching you blossom into the woman that you are today. Because I married a 22-year-old... somewhat sheltered girl in Texas.
Yeah.
Who, first off, when we got married, I didn't realize people had relationships with their shoe person or their dress person.
Or their makeup person.
Who all worked at Neiman Marcus.
Yeah.
And
personal.
Who invites a shoe salesman to your wedding? But Richard's been my shoe guy since I was in 8th grade.
Richard was the hair guy.
Sorry, Richard was the hair guy. But I married this woman who was somewhat sheltered and lived in a nice house, loving parents, great church, all that kind of stuff. And we moved to Nashville, Tennessee right after.
I lived in a little bit of a bubble.
You did. You went to Christian college. You graduated in May, got married in June. And
but I was a Gen Xer. And even as protective as my mother was, you know, she didn't let us do certain things because she thought they were scary, or, you know, she didn't understand it, so you shouldn't do it, kind of thing. But I had that little bit inside of me that's kind of like her that says, I just want to try it. I just want to do it one time. And if I get in trouble, then I get in trouble. But I wasn't a troublemaker. I just wanted to do things. I wanted to experience things that I wasn't ever exposed to. You know, like one time at Evangel, I don't know who had a boat, but somebody's dad had a boat or cousin or something. And we all went to the lake. There were like 4 or 5 of us.
Fellows Lake or where it was.
I don't remember. And went tubing on that's the first time I ever did anything like that, because my mom was scared of boats, which is hilarious because she married a guy who has a boat and they go fishing all the time. But then she was like scared of boats. She didn't want me in the lake water. Nothing about that was, you know, ever allowed in our childhood.
I don't think you knew many rednecks, did you?
We did not know any rednecks.
You never rode an inner tube behind the boat.
No. So when I did, all I could think about is, oh my gosh, my mom's going to have a dream about this.
Did you ever have a pair of cutoff shorts?
Oh, I did not. If I had a pair of cutoff shorts, they were only for the house. They were only play clothes.
Okay, keep going.
They were only play clothes. But I mean, the whole time I just kept thinking, oh, my mom's going to be so upset if something happens to me and I was doing this, you know, because it was dangerous. And that's not dangerous.
Well, everything matched when you got married. You had to have all the Laura Ashley sheets, and you had to have everything kind of coordinated and matched.
It was 1980s,
but
though.
A lot of changes. I mean, you let me decorate everything. You let me design
you're
things.
really good at it.
But watching you blossom into the woman you are today, when we moved to Nashville, it was a great thing to move away from our families and to kind of have our own identity, to go to church, have our own identity.
I don't think either one of us, well, you had lived away. You'd lived on your own. But I don't think either one of us wanted to live close by our families. I think we wanted to sort of do our own thing.
Even when we moved back to Texas, we decided to go to a different church because everybody thought that I was just part of your family. And
you are part of my. We are family.
Well, no, but they called me last name Paul. Yeah,
by my maiden name. Yeah.
Watching you blossom into a mom, watching you blossom. I mean, who would have ever dreamed? Like, I always dreamed of having horses. I always dreamed of having a farm like my Uncle Jim, and he had a hobby farm and had all these exotic animals, and I wanted that. And I always wanted horses. I never could afford them.
See, my grandpa had a horse. Pa Daddy had a horse. Flicka was its name. And they had a little place like this. It was 5 acres. And they always had neat stuff there. And I think that's where my love of it kind of came from. You know, Pa Daddy would always, he called us and he said, you know, that Flicka was having her baby to come and watch.
But he didn't ride Flicka.
No, I never saw him ride. I never really knew why he had a horse there. I don't know if he boarded it for someone, but he had that, and he had like a barn, and then he had, you know, quail. We don't ever know why he had quail, but he had a bunch of quail. And then, so when we moved, when I was in first grade, out, you know, we were like one of 3 houses out there. And now it's all built up.
Colleyville, Texas.
Yeah. Mom let us have whatever we wanted out there. Christopher had chickens and snakes. I mean, whatever he wanted, Mom let him have. You know, so.
But you never thought that you would be living on a farm?
I never thought I would do farm work.
Goats and chickens and rabbits. It's amazing because, like, your mom, I remember whenever we posted a picture when you were helping deliver a goat and you still had your jewelry on and your nails were manicured.
I never take them off.
Yeah. And, but I've watched you. I mean, you are. I
like to soak it up. I want to learn about it. I want to.
But think about all the different things you do now that we didn't do when you first. I mean,
you
didn't know how to cook.
It's a miracle.
And you're an amazing cook, and you didn't know how to. You know, so part of being married, and I think there's just such a bad narrative about new love and new things. People don't really. There aren't that many movies. Maybe The Notebook, but which, by the way, have you seen The Notebook before?
I love The Notebook, but
read-
it's the black hole for him. If it's on TV,
It's a beautiful story.
we must stop
love
whatever is happening, and we must watch The Notebook.
The book is even better. But what I was going to say, though,
Such a girl.
is... Okay. What I was going to say, though, is there's a bad narrative about long-term marriage because I love you more today than I ever did. And we've been married 35 years. You're still my best friend. This past weekend, just hanging out with you and being with you and doing fun things. I love that. We're going on a road trip tomorrow. We're driving to Iowa to go to a fundraising banquet for this cool organization that we're supporting. But it's like, I'm looking forward to the road trip with you.
Yeah.
But movies
gotta
always
take the
tell you
time
that-
we can
that
get.
It's better to have a new thing, something new. But good thing is you're married to me. I haven't changed at all in 35
You
years.
have. You have changed a little, but you haven't changed as much as... I mean, I'm going to actually say this. I have changed way more than you have changed.
Really?
Yeah.
honestly
You've
think
always been very adventurous and all that kind of stuff, but that's what you bring out in me.
Well, I don't know.
Is that I was never that way. I never had anybody to push me and say, you can... I mean, it's not to say that my parents or, whatever, my family was not supportive of what I wanted to do, but because when I was very young, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I knew I wanted to do this and that, and whatever I chose to do. Like my mom let me take acting classes. She let me have headshots. She put me in modeling classes. Whatever I wanted to do, she let me do to figure it out. But in my heart, I knew I wanted to teach. And so I didn't have a real adventurous, childhood because I sort of had it all figured out in my head until I met you.
I still can't get you to
And then
travel
you
to a lot of
just-
countries, though.
Well,
'Cause,
I'm not
like,
going
when
to
we
go
got
places
married-
that are gross.
No. When we got married, you made
India
it very
is
clear.
gross.
You made it very clear. India is not gross.
I just
India
can't
is
do
one of the
it.
most
Ugh.
beautiful countries in the world, and the
It just
people-
looks so hot and dirty.
It is hot. It's not.
And the
okay.
food would
It is
hurt my
awesome.
stomach
No, it
so
doesn't.
much that
But
I
what I
would
was going
just
to
be
tell
in the
you though is when
bathroom
we
the whole
got married,
time.
I think everybody should get their passport stamped as many times as possible. But you think that going to Harrods in London is global experience?
No, but it's something that I did as a kid that I don't think a lot of my friends got to do.
Yeah, but would you love to travel to Asia with me?
No, I don't like that.
Okay.
I like
Julianne,
that.
I love Japan. I love traveling.
She wants to go to Japan. You can take her.
I love Korea.
I just like their
incredible.
food.
Yeah.
But it's just super. The boys came home and said Japan was so hot.
Well, it was like a blast furnace when we were there, according to them.
And
But
I
I've
don't
been
wanna
I've
be
been
that
able to work and
hot.
travel in over 50 countries, and I would like to continue that list. My brother right now is walking through Austria. His wife's
I
flying
love
over there.
Austria. That's beautiful.
Yeah, his wife is flying over there to walk with him for a week or two.
I wouldn't walk. I think that's
Okay, let's
Not my
let's
jam.
just stay here in the U.S. So I've been through. You were married to me when I got into golf. Right, I played golf.
got into golf.
I played golf every day of my life.
I was a golf widow.
I played golf. I loved being a member of a golf club. Played over and over and over and over as many times as possible. And it was great because you were a wedding coordinator at the time and you were busy every Saturday. So I got to play golf.
Yeah, it worked out fine.
And I loved playing. And then one day I counted 87 golf shirts in my closet and realized maybe I should try something different. And then I've gotten into different things. Horses is something that I see myself doing for the rest of my life because I love what the horse brings to me.
I think that's definitely something that grows with you
Yeah,
more than like
but
a sport.
Yeah, but this is, I mean, like it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's everything that I
Right.
was looking for. But my whole point in this is if I decide to go hike the Appalachian Trail, let's say, okay, so that's 3.5 months, start in Georgia, Springer Mountain, go up all the way. Would
You
you,
could take
come out?
Rachel.
Okay, what's funny about this, and you and I, not many people know this. You would rather say that exact same thing. Like I was about to ask you, would you come out and hike with me for 1 week out of 3 months? And your response
I ain't hiking with you
and your
anywhere.
response is, no, you can take Rachel, which is a friend of ours.
Daughter.
I get it, but you would rather me go hiking for 3 months with another female than you going and spending 1 week with me.
You know what though? You would glean so much from that experience. You would love it.
No.
It would be everything that you
I am
want.
going to hike the Appalachian Trail.
And
There are
I
two
would
types
be
of people
miserable.
well, there are two types of people that hike that are through hikers. I've hiked the Appalachian Trail.
And I have watched that documentary about that creepy guy on the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
I'm not going.
I've hiked sections of the Appalachian Trail. I have not, I mean, to be a through hiker, it's a big commitment. But once you do it, and the problem is because of movies and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of more people who are doing the through hiking. But and there's two types of people that do the through hiking. One is old white guys like me who, when they finally retire and have no purpose in life, they go, I'm going to go hike the Appalachian Trail.
Well, Matt has done it, and
he's done sections too.
He's done sections, and he loves it. I mean, we've got plenty of friends you could go with.
Yeah,
That's
but what
not
I'm saying
something
is
we
there are two
need to
types of people.
share.
The one type is the old dude like me who walks, and I'm not going to be one of those hikers with the hiking stick and the whole thing, but
you might need those hiking sticks.
I think they're stupid. But anyway, my brother does that. Chink. And
I'd need it, man. I don't think I could make it.
I think they're cheap. But anyway, I'm not a fan. I just like backpacking. But the other type of person is a 20 to 24-year-old granola eating, Patagonia wearing, REI shopping kid who has no desire in life. So the people who are hiking,
or that have joints that work.
Yeah, and they go to
my knees don't work that well anymore.
So that could be something. I've thought many times that if I didn't have horses, I could be a boat person. I could see myself owning a catamaran and going through the British Virgin Islands and doing that.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Once again, you wouldn't go on the water with me for that.
I might go on the water with you. You know what? Since I went on that cruise with Lisa, and I know you're going to say it was a cruise, it wasn't a catamaran. But I was on the water. What I was afraid of was the fact that I might get really sick, because I get nauseous. And I did well. So I think I could try something new with that next time. But I am not hiking with you. No, that is not
all right.
That's not a thing.
I think we've realized that my next phase in life, if I'm on a boat.
I'd ride horses with you. I'm not as... I would have to have some classes.
Ride horses.
Yeah. I mean, I can just ride here in the yard, but I wouldn't trust myself.
Okay, so before I go to our producer gave me a few articles that we can share, but was there anything else you have notes that, have I changed at all?
I did make a few notes, just because I forgot what we were even talking about until you said it the other day. But I did this, since we were on our hiatus. But things that you said, what about things that drew me to you?
Oh, yes.
So I kind of wrote these things down. So the things that drew me to you are kind of, they might be funny. I don't know. First of all, it was your cute booty.
Oh, there you go. Has that changed?
No, I like your booty.
Do you?
It's pretty cute. Your beautiful hair. You had some rocking hair back in the 80s.
I think I'm going to bring the mullet back. You talking about the mullet?
You had a poof and a mullet. You were all about it.
I used mousse.
The thing that drew me, one of the things that I really
still
love.
have hair.
You do still have hair, and I love your hair. It are your hands. I always thought
they haven't changed.
No, you have beautiful hands. And do you remember when I would say, "Oh, they're so soft"?
I do remember.
It was my excuse to hold your hand.
Okay, keep going.
Your love for the Lord.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Has that changed at all over the years?
No.
It's just gotten deeper.
It's just gotten
wider.
I guess so, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It just sometimes it can be a little obsessive.
The thing that you always complained about your dad was your dad could be in church all 7 days of the week. And when
24/7.
Yeah, and when your dad came home from church, he would then turn on church and
on
watch
TV.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
And I went by Mom's
and
apartment.
then the phone would ring and it would be some preacher and they would talk about church.
I went by Mom's apartment today. And
was she watching church?
Well, what's fun is you can hear at my mom's community, everybody has their own apartment, but about 50 feet away from the room, you can hear what they're listening to because every single TV
that hallway is super loud.
Because all these 90-year-olds have a hard time hearing, I guess. But Joel Osteen, man, he was going full board today with my mom. And I realized she's sitting there watching Joyce Meyer, Joel Osteen, just preacher after preacher after preacher.
Yeah, she's
you used to make fun. You used to make fun of your dad because he liked that. But now I love going to churches and things of that.
Yeah. That's anyway. I loved, and this thing is definitely something that has not changed.
What's that?
Your ability to make things happen. You can make it happen. If I want something, like I would really like to experience XYZ. I would really like to do this with our family, or I would really like to meet this person, or whatever it is. You're going to do your best to make it happen. And 99.9% of the time. No, it's not that you're because you're a pleaser. It's because you just know how to make things happen. I think you have the most giving heart.
We might have to have a whole episode of just the things you like about me. So,
and how you push me to go outside the box, which is what made me change.
Oh, that's good.
On a lot of things.
Okay, so article number 1 says how and why marriages change over time. Okay, it says regardless of how long a marriage lasts, change is often inevitable, and it can occur in a variety of areas. Personalities can evolve, dynamics can shift, and circumstances can change. If you're in a marriage or expecting to be in one soon, it can be helpful to know what possible changes to expect. So we're going to talk about these. So, and how to cope with them. So number 1 says how do marriages change over time? And it says, here are a few common areas where changes may occur in a marriage. I'm going to throw it out there and you can make a comment. Okay. Number 1 is.
This is your favorite thing to do. Just throw it out and then just see what I say.
See what you say. So it says, how do marriages change over time? It says, one common area is romance. Has our marriage changed romantically over the time?
I'm just a lot more tired.
But it says, romance is often one of the big areas that change in marriage. Long conversations.
If it's sleep or if it's
the long conversations,
I'm choosing sleep.
The long conversations while gazing into each other's eyes, holding hands and enjoying a nice night on the couch can eventually begin to be taken for granted. And romance, I still try to be romantic with you.
You're super romantic. You're kind of gushy, lovey-dovey.
So I have a friend, I'm not going to mention his name, but I mentioned it to you already. He's now doing the testosterone. He's getting...
I forget which one.
Well... The account anyway. He's getting testosterone pellets, so he doesn't have to take the shot every day. And he says he feels like an 18-year-old. Like he says, I'm as viral and I'm excited as I am. It was at 18. I'm like, wow. Like my wife would be like, you're chasing me too much now. And he goes, oh no, get her on the testosterone. So they're both taking shots or implants so that they can feel better. Would you want to take a pill that would make you feel more sexually active and more vivacious and exciting? Would you love that?
Well, I just want to get my stuff done.
Okay.
I would like to have energy.
Our targeted audience of this podcast is a 55-year-old female. So I would say based on your response that the answer is no there. But
all I have to do is look in your direction and it is on.
Yeah.
So
much.
I don't need any
romance
extra.
Is something we do work at. We've shared that we try to go to a hotel every 6 or 7 weeks.
Date night or
dates, and we go to different things.
Vacation.
So focus on romance. That can change over time, but still romantic. Okay, next thing. How do marriages change over time? Time for each other.
Well, just like tomorrow, just sitting in the car, that'll be time for each other. Well, you'll be on the phone 90% of the time.
Finding quality time for each other can also become very difficult for some couples after they've been married. And you start to devote more time to studies or work and build a better future. So part of that is the longer you're married, empty nesters, most of our friends that are our age, their kids are out of the house.
Yeah, we are the minority for sure
I think
that have
we're
kids. We're
blessed because we still have kids at home that we still get to interact with. We still get to talk. But a lot of our friends are lonely. And it's like you go from having these kids in the household. One of my friends, Dave, the other night, he didn't go to the victory celebration because he said his 2 boys were both in town at the same time. And it was like there was nothing more important to him than the 2 boys being in town at the same time. And I'm like, we get that every day. We're blessed. But finding time for each other. A lot of couples break up. I've told you the other day, I really can't wait to make it.
We have a lot of friends that have broken
separated up after their kids
divorced.
are gone. Yeah. And your mom and dad at 42 years. And it's like they had nothing else in the house. Well, they should have gotten divorced.
Yeah, but there was nothing to keep them.
Okay, so time for each other can change. Okay, next, communication can change marriage over time. Communication changes and challenges can also be common in marriages. For some, it could be that the longer they're married, the more they begin to assume that their spouse should know what they're thinking.
I think that is you 1,000%. In fact, that probably is on my list. I have a yes page and a no page.
Well, my problem with our communication is you're guilty of this too. You assume you know what I'm going to say. So if I start
because I pretty much do know what you
No, but you're not listening to me. And so sometimes you respond in a way that you think that I said, and you didn't actually listen to what I said. I just want you to listen to what I actually say.
Sometimes the words come out of my mouth and I hear them come out of my mouth and you say, you never said that.
Opening up to your partner and keeping the lines of communication open can help avoid major confusion or conflict in the marriage.
Sometimes when it's real important and I want you to know how important it is, I will write down that I actually said this at this date and time. And I have either put that on my phone or I'm old school, so I make notes all the time, and put it on a note. And then I'll go, yes, here it is right here. I said it at this time.
Okay, so next on the list, feeling connected. Many couples also experience ups and downs and feeling connected to each other. I think we still feel connected after 35 years.
I kind of don't feel whole if I'm not either with you or connected to you somehow.
Well, here it says,
finances. Like when you're gone, if you did go on the Appalachian Trail for 3 months and you couldn't like call me because you didn't have service or whatever, I would not like that.
Okay, so finances, obviously we talked about this before, major change is going to occur. And finances change as people lose jobs, major life changes, personal crisis. It says, what can you do to prepare for cope with change? Talk to your spouse. Yeah, we do that. Once at 1 hour every month.
That one time.
That one time we talked was last April 25th. Talk to your spouse. Develop a plan to address and overcome the changes. Examine the positive aspects of the change. So, yeah, I mean, like when I get into something new, you always look at the positive side. Like horsemanship has brought us new friends. Horses have brought us relationships that we would not have had without those horses coming
Horses
into our lives.
have brought peace to our family.
Yes.
To our children.
So there's always positive aspects of the change. Look at those. Oh, here's 2 things. Talk to other married couples. When we had our Bible study group with a bunch of other married couples, that was such a blessing for us just to hear other people going through the same things we did or having the same kind of conflict. So maybe listening to this podcast is you feel like you're talking to us. But find other couples to talk about. Go out to dinner with another couple. Talk about things.
But don't like go to them and say, okay, my husband does this and I need you to validate me on,
No.
That's not what we're saying.
It says talking with other married couples can provide an opportunity for you to see what others do when they encounter change and how they cope with changes. So if you lost your job, find a friend who also went through a job loss.
Right.
If you're having, infidelity issues and you're going, talk to another couple that's been through this.
And we've done this several times. We've helped couples with different scenarios because we've been married a long time.
I think when you are married a long time, sometimes you feel like you're doing ER work with other couples. But the last one here said, see a marriage counselor. And I can't tell you
that we've done too.
No, 4 times. But go to a weekend to remember. Get away with your spouse.
Corny.
I love the weekend to remember.
I know you do.
But weekend to remember, Google it. It's a weekend. You get to go stay in a hotel and you go to workshops and work on your marriage. Suzanne doesn't place our marriage at much priority, so she doesn't like to work on it.
I just think it probably is great for some people.
Well, what I was going to say is marriage
I would be rolling
therapy,
my eyes
marriage counseling.
A lot.
Go talk to somebody. Your marriage.
Hey, we have told our married kids, they've come to us and said, such and such about the other. And, they're young. They were like us. 25, 26 years old. And I said, you need to do it now before it gets super rocky.
So here's another article, Dealing with Marital Issues After 25 Years. So we've been married a long time, so here are a couple things. Even after 25 years of marriage, problems can and often do surface. Communication, novelty, and therapy can help you work through them. It says, what causes marriages to fall apart after 25 years? What do you think number 1 is? We talked about it briefly.
Finances.
Nope, empty nest. It says after 25 years.
I don't think about that because we don't have that.
Yeah, the biggest marital issue after 25 years is empty nest. Number 2 is changes in power structure. So
what does that mean?
It means if you are a
like
doctor,
if I go to work and you stay home?
Yes.
Oh.
It says more than 2/3 of divorces for couples over 50, also known as gray divorces. That's a term I didn't know, gray divorces.
Huh.
I don't know the color of your hair, so I guess they're talking about the man's color. But it says are initiated by women. 2/3 of divorces for couples over 50, also known as gray divorces, are initiated by women. The reason they do this, says Hirschman, a psychologist, is because they can. because women
because their
can't.
kids aren't home.
And they can. Said until fairly recently, women did not have the economic power to leave marriages that were abusive, unhappy, or one that both partners outgrew. So 2/3 of these gray divorces, women just said, I'm done. Like, I'm done with your shit. I'm done with all your stuff.
Yeah.
I'm done taking care of you. I'm done taking care of your dog, cleaning your gun. Whatever it is, they're done. So 2/3.
But that last part that you read, read that again.
Until fairly recently, women did not have the economic power to leave marriages that were abusive, unhappy, or one or both partners outgrew.
Or both partners outgrew.
Yeah, so the key thing is to grow together.
Right. And I think that's absolutely the key, is that you grow and change. You're not going to stay 22 years old. Right. I mean, I'm not that same little girl at 57. Thank God that I'm not that way.
A 57-year-old woman. That's unbelievable.
I'll tell you, she looks pretty good, doesn't she?
I know, and I'm so much younger. So the next big reason people get divorced after 25 years, people living longer. It used to be that people retired at age 60 or 65, and if they were lucky, lived another 5 or 10 years. Today, many people can look forward to 20, 25, or even 30 more active years when they hit age 60. So my dad lived to 89, mom's 90. I'm never going to retire. We already know that. I plan to be working into my 70s and hopefully my 80s. But anyway, it says, asking themselves the question, does this marriage still work for me? So at 80, I hope you think that I'm still working for you.
I don't know what I would do if I didn't have all your problems and all your shit.
When you're 80
what
and
would
I'm
I
65, it's going to be... Okay, so here we go. Next one, financial stress. That's
hard. I mean, we've lived through it a million times.
25 years. When finances are ongoing
it's
challenge.
Rough.
Ongoing, I think, is the thing. Like, if you continue to have the same challenge year after year after year, or if there are fundamental disagreements about money management, it can put a significant strain on marriage.
And I have heard so many wives say things about their husband, like before they get divorced, that said, well, he just never could hold down a job. And the fact that they have to be the breadwinner reluctantly. We've also known couples that the wife had the super high paying job and the husband was kind of just the part-timer and the dad. Yeah. And they were totally okay with it. But if you have to do it because you have to, the mindset is completely different.
Yep. So here's another, number 5, why people get divorced after 25 years. Reduced stigma. The social stigma of divorce that existed previously is no longer an issue in most places, including many religious institutions. That's true. Another one, this is a key one too, undiagnosed mental health issues.
Gosh, I think that's a big one. It says
that's common for one or both partners to attend therapy to experience undiagnosed or untreated mental health issues such as depression, sorry, I stapled it. Depression, mood disorders, ADHD, addictive or substance abuse. So
my parents went to the same therapist for a lot of years. And later on, like when they were already separated at this time, or whatever, I did find out that the therapist told them that my dad had the most severe ADD he'd ever seen in an adult that had gone undiagnosed.
Wow.
But think about it. They didn't diagnose people back then. Like for you and I, we were just on the cusp of like the hyperactive child. Our kids are the ones
we didn't know what Asperger's was. We didn't know what spectrum disorder.
Our kids are the ones that are.
But the other thing about undiagnosed mental health issues, and I will say this, I could also see this being in stress of after 25 years of marriage. The average age when men come to terms with any sort of sexual abuse they might have experienced as a child, do you know what age that is?
50?
52.
Wow.
So if a man was abused as a youth, usually
what do they
studies,
just press it down until it comes back up?
You forget about it. You don't think about it. You don't, and I've shared, I don't know if I shared this, but I shared about my own personal abuse in a movie called Leave No Trace. If you follow us on social media, you probably watched it a couple of years ago, but it's a hard movie to watch. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's not a fun one. It's not a date night movie.
It's not, but you'll understand me a little bit more if you watch that movie. But 52 years of age, I mean, really in your 50s, you start dealing with these things. And you realize that when it says undiagnosed mental health stats, that what happened to me as a kid affected our marriage, affected my jobs, affected my relationships, affected different things, but I didn't address it until I was in my 50s. So that's one of those things that can add additional stress into a marriage, because all of a sudden, it's like when people come out of therapy. So if somebody's an addictive personality and then you love them, but then when they are no longer an addict and they have a new person, a new personality, maybe a spiritual transformation, whatever it is.
You were attracted to the
party side of them.
Or the part where, you are the nurturer, the caregiver, and you don't have anyone to care for anymore because they're actually well, that they're doing things on their own.
Okay, so we covered those things that can happen. I'm going to finish our podcast with this thing because I thought it was funny. 15 changes that happen in a woman's life. A woman's life. Because remember, our targeted audience is a 55-year-old female. And
I'm drawing them in.
You are. Actually, okay. Our statistics show that we're trending a lot younger than that.
Oh, are we? I think people want to learn from our mistakes.
I think we got a lot of 35-year-olds that like you. But anyway, 15 changes that happen in a woman's life after marriage. And this is off the internets.
The internets?
I don't know. And because of the Bollywood photos, I think this may have been about Indian women. But anyway, because when you're an Indian woman, you change. There's a lot of things. But it says 15 changes a woman experiences after marriage. Number 1, she becomes more responsible and reliable. Do you think you're more reliable being married than you were single?
Well, gosh, I was only single for like 6 months.
Okay. She becomes more responsible and reliable. Number 2, career almost takes a back seat in her life because they have picture of kids and stuff. Like, career is not as important to you when you get married and stuff. I don't know if that's true.
Career was important to me until I wanted to stay.
Here's another one. Her decision-making style changes. Before marriage, all decision-making is fairly simple. Which friends to hang out with, rest in early.
Well, isn't that anybody?
Yeah.
That's anybody.
Next one. Patience and maturity become her number 1 traits.
I'm sorry, if you have a child on the spectrum or if you have a child with ADHD, you better be looking for some patience because you're going to need it.
Patience and maturity. I think it's just because you're married to a man, and I don't know if you know
men
this.
Or children. Okay. I have
patience and maturity.
4 children and
number
a bonus
5,
daughter.
We don't have time. Okay, we got to keep moving. Number 5, she rarely gets her personal space and time.
Now that's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even when I go to the bathroom, the dog goes with me.
Okay.
I mean,
a married woman thinks before speaking her mind. I don't know where the hell this came from. Like I told you, this is not factual. In your circle of family or friends that you have grown up with, you speak without care. You give your opinions and discuss your point of view openly.
I don't know any
what
woman.
You believe in, and perhaps even hold on to your side of the story and stick to it. Your people know you in and out. You have
your people.
Yeah, but anyway, it says,
I'm scared of that.
But after marriage, you do not have that level of openness and comfort.
That has Jim Bob all over it.
You do not have. You do not have that level of openness or comfort with your new family. Hence, you have to weigh the words that come out of your mouth. Not just your words, even your body language. With time, you learn to understand how to convey disappointment or displeasure, but it is a process.
Did you get that from Bill Gothard? Is that where you got it?
It is a process and one that requires a lot of fortitude.
Okay.
Read a story of this young woman and how she spoke up in her mind to her in-laws. So a married woman thinks...
Good Lord, I saw a video today of somebody who was the mother-in-law and said a very off-the-cuff remark, like, it wasn't even that bad. I mean, I wouldn't think it was that bad. But anyway, like, her son and her daughter-in-law have disowned her. Like, they're separated now,
Okay, so
that's a thing.
Number 7. I'm finishing the podcast with these.
All right.
Lists. Number 7, her dressing style changes when you're married. You cannot wear what you want, and one of the biggest complaints. Do you?
You absolutely got this off of some crazy website.
Well, I do tell you what to wear sometimes. It says she gives special attention to her family. That's not nice. And here's the last.
Well, I would hope so.
No, wait, there's a couple here. A married woman feels secure.
That is not even the slightest bit true. You are so insecure as a married woman.
A married woman feels secure. Because blah, 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 blah. You don't think you feel secure?
I do now, but when I was first married, no, I wasn't secure. I was insecure about everything. I couldn't do anything.
Here's the next one from Bollywood Love. She will be extra careful when spending money.
I'll be extra careful spending the money that you give me, and then I'll be not so careful with all your money.
Hey, Proverbs 31, babe. Marriage makes women savers if they were not so before.
Well, I got some friends that are
saver. You're a
couponers.
saver. You're pretty good. You're the cheap one. I never thought you'd be the cheap one, but the kids say you're the cheap one. They think more about the future and encourages them to
like
save
a good
more,
bargain.
which is a very desirable quality. So you'll be extra careful. So that is true. Okay, number 11. Her positive attitude will fade away. Before
so
marriage,
bad.
a woman is generally more possessive when it comes to her man. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not positive. I misread that. I don't have my glasses. It's her possessive attitude. Sorry. It's your possessive attitude.
Positive. You are not positive at all.
I'm
Now that
positive
you're married.
possessive attitude.
I'm positive that you're
No,
possessed.
sorry. I'm not. I don't have my glasses on, but it's her possessive attitude. Hey, producer, bigger type. Her possessive attitude.
I need to get you one of those.
Are you still possessive over
candy
me?
cane things that you can read.
You have never been possessive over me, have you?
Possessive? How would that even be possible?
Okay, here we go. Number 12. And I think there's 13 here.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Number
How
12.
could it get any worse?
She becomes the best version of herself. I agree with that. When you're
I
married,
agree with that too.
You become the best version of yourself.
If you have a good partner who supports you.
Okay,
Yes.
Here we go. 3 more. Her parents value her even more.
Oh, that is so from another country.
Really? My parents
Value you more
This
because
is
you're
true.
married?
It says this is true for every girl who gets married because she is her parents' princess. So whenever she will visit her parents, she will get all their love and affection.
Oh, this is so bad.
Her parents will value, your mother values you even more than before because they genuinely miss you.
Oh,
And they're there for you always.
that should be that way anyway,
Life
whether
after
you're married or
becomes
not.
a time for pampering at your parents' place. Your mother pampers you when you're there. But beware, we have a query where the man complained about how spoiled his wife was because she was an only child. Remember, marriage is about give and take. So, our kid, do you think
That's BS.
do you think when Natalie goes to her house that she feels pampered by her mom because she's excited she's there? Yes.
Well, yeah, because she's excited that she's there, but not because she's married.
Okay, 2 more. Number 14. Weight gain is common for a married woman.
Oh, that's 100%. Hey, I lost 3 pounds.
Hey, congratulations.
When I got on the scale at the doctor today.
Women might fight weight gains due to changes in lifestyle and eating habits. Weight
No,
gain
it's just called menopause.
Well, I like your body. Okay, last one, and we'll end the show with
It's
this.
cushy.
An identity crisis. It says an identity crisis of sorts may hit you.
Well, I think that's when the kids move out and stuff like that because you don't
the
live
home
through
and
your
people
kids
you've grown
anymore.
up with, and then you become known as a mom. You become known as, you went from being John Hall's daughter to John Stewart's wife to John Andrews' mother, Julianne's mother, whatever.
But
at
I'm
some
always
point-
John Stewart's wife.
Well, I hope so.
Well, I mean, that's how people know who I am.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, honey, this episode is about you being a cat lady, and it's really about, we spent the past hour talking about change, and I love the changes in our marriage. I love the change in your life, and I hope you continue to grow. And somebody told me one time that your wife has dreams that you do not know about. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things is to discover what those dreams are and what those ambitions are and what you want to do. We'll talk about retirement at some point on one of these episodes and some of the lessons we talked about.
I think we talked about that already.
About what our retirement will look like. But I love watching you blossom.
Well, thanks,
You're not
babe.
wilting yet.
I'm not wilting
You're
yet.
still growing. We started with dirt. The beautiful flower grew. You blossomed, and now you just get more blossoms and prettier. So
I got blossoms everywhere, man. I am a full flower.
you are a full flower. Well, as we wrap up here, I want to just remind you that like us on Facebook, like us on YouTube. Share. Our audience is growing. It's kind of fun. So share marryyourbestfriend.org.
We hope you learn a little bit.
We hope you do. And
We learn.
we do. We love it. I love you, babe. As we kind of exit here, join us on the next episode of Marry Your Best Friend. On the next episode of the Marry Your Best Friend podcast, one of us
What is it? I'm waiting.
needs your vote.
Oh my goodness.
I do.
Let's go sit on the porch.
We're going to talk about elections and politics. And anybody who lives in the Fishers HSC school district,
Oh, here's his shameless plug.
I need your vote.